Thank you for joining us on the Winning at Selling podcast. I'm Bill Hellkamp of Reach Development Systems, and with me is Professor Scott Plum of the Minnesota Sales Institute.
AI is becoming more popular and confusing. What is real and what is an output of a formula? But we cannot ignore this movement. Let's see what ChatGPT responds with when asked for the top challenges salespeople experience in the marketplace. Stand by for real advice with over 82 years of experience before AI as Bill and I explore the top 6 sales challenges according to ChatGPT and other nifty ideas on episode 579 of the Winning at Selling podcast.
Well, I think we really, as you say, we really need to understand what's going on in the AI movement and see how we can use that tool, right? It's another tool. It's another hammer.
It is.
It's smartphone, but how are we going to use it?
Right. Effectively.
Yep. And use it right. So before
exactly.
we get into that, we're going to get into some old-fashioned conversations. And this is one of the original how-to books.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How to Win Friends and Influence People. We're in part 4, chapters 4, 5, and 6. Chapter 4 is called Be a Leader. How to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. We call that influencing people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So chapter 4 is called No One Likes to Take Orders. Boy, is that true for me.
That is. However, there are some salespeople that love being order takers.
No, well, that's true. That's true.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, let me show you my catalog.
Yeah.
Well, that's a different kind of order taking.
Right.
This is when we get yelled at or told what to do or told, my way or the highway. And I do think that people get their backs up about that, and I don't blame them. I think if we just change our vernacular, right? It's
right
to say, well, perhaps, Scott, we should think about this. Or what do you think if we tried this? Or could we do this way? Or what if we tried it a different way? It's just put a little bit in front of it that says, I want to listen to you and not, I already decided and I'm telling you what to do. I remember I did a project internally for a company I was working for. I was a full commission salesperson and doing a special project for free, basically, for them. And we were looking at all of our territories, and we worked out this whole program. And we took it to the owner, and he said, "Yeah, great. Well, let's do it my way." And and I said, next time, why don't you just tell me what you decided? And I won't pretend to put all this material together, or I will pretend to do it. So I'm reading Maxwell's book, Developing the Leader Within You, at the same time I'm reading How to Win Friends. And the whole chapter I'm reading talks about how important it is for leaders to ask questions rather than tell people what to do.
Yeah. Very true. I think submitting a question in a way that causes curiosity or understands a little bit more of a context of a position also can add more credibility to it. If somebody brings you an idea or a suggestion or a proposal, and you might respond with, I noticed that you didn't cover anything in this area. Is there a reason you left that out? And they go, oh, no, I didn't even really think about that. Or they'll tell you why they left it out, which ends up gaining more credibility of their position that they took it into consideration. But being critical is sometimes a natural response for those that are raised with critical parents. And I've fallen into that trap. And I need to pause, and I need to be able to think about asking questions. And this is out of the book. Asking question not only makes the order more palatable, but it stimulates the creativity of the person whom you asked. And I think asking questions for salespeople to prospects is very, very good. When prospects ask salespeople questions, they need to ponder and go, that's interesting. How do you think that would work? Or what did you get out of that? And now we're asking questions and still maintaining control of the conversation. So a very good chapter in this area.
Yeah, well, obviously, I'm a big fan of a good discovery, and that's all about questions. So I think that's really important. I really like the story he told. There was a manufacturer that had an opportunity for a big order, and they weren't sure how they were going to handle the big order. And instead of the managers saying, okay, here's what we're going to do, we got together as managers and decided on this. They brought all the staff together and said, what can we do differently so we can say yes to this order? and all of us prosper. And everybody had great ideas and was willing to try new things and do things a little bit longer maybe, or work a little harder, or be a little bit more streamlined. And it's amazing what your staff knows that you don't know as a manager or a leader. And if you let them have some control, you'll get some great ideas.
Wow. And that's really separating the discussion from the decision. When you involve people that are going to be working with you to implement a program or a project, you need to involve them in the discussion so that they can feel like they're part of the decision. And this is not easy sometimes with leadership and wanting to bring in, a certain amount of revenue, but there may not be a capacity to be able to handle it. And then the reputation kind of falls apart. But everybody needs to step up with a commitment when they're involved in the discussion. They're part of the decision.
Right. So principle 4 is ask questions instead of giving direct orders, which I think is a great principle. Chapter 5 is called Let the Other Person Save Face. And Dale Carnegie must not have been able to think of a clever title, because that's the principle as well. Almost every one of these, he has a different principle, but the title is different. So as I was thinking about this and reading this chapter, I thought there are so many situations we find ourselves where we can lose confidence. We make a mistake at work. We get let go or fired. We get replaced on a project because we're not working out. We don't get a promotion that we thought we would get. And we tend to lose confidence. And when we lose confidence, we can show aggression, we can lash out. And I think that allowing the other person to save face means that you as a leader have to help them see that this is not the end of the world. It's not something they can't overcome. It's something that is just a temporary setback. And if you can kind of maybe fix some things that are going on, you can get better.
Yeah, and it's amazing how we can, again, become a little bit more critical. And this is out of the book. It talks about 2 class members discussing negative effects of fault finding versus the positive effects of letting the other person save face. And when you maintain a person's dignity, they're going to be part of your network. They're going to be part of the people that are still going to welcome you in. And you're not going to be burning any bridges by trying to feel better by knocking somebody else down. I mean, Jordan Peterson's got a great quote. I think I've shared it before, is why do you want to take hope away from somebody when that's all they have? And there are some people that just live on hope every single day. And sometimes we just feel like they're easy targets and we're having a bad day. So we want to take it out on somebody. That's not going to do any good for anybody.
When we challenge somebody like that, we think they're all full of confidence. But most people aren't full of confidence. They're just barely on the edge. And it only takes one really negative comment or yelling at them to wreck their day or wreck whatever little confidence they had. They tell a story in here about an employee. He was demeaned for an error, and he was never any good for that company ever again.
Wow. Yeah.
And he went to a different company, and he's doing fine. And I think that's true, that if we're in an atmosphere that's negative and fault finding, when somebody finds fault with me, Scott, I don't know about you, but I don't go, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I had screwed that up. It's like, thanks for pointing out to me what I already figured out and have already, been embarrassed by. It's just amazing that people think they have to point out every mistake you made in order for you to function properly.
Right. And that's how they gain their confidence, is by knocking other people down.
Yeah.
And you can agree with them and say, yeah, if I had a chance to do it over again, I would have done something different. You're right. And let them have the win and have confidence that this is just one situation and you learn probably more from it than anybody else. And you're not going to repeat it again too.
So saying thanks for pointing that out, Mr. Obvious, is not the right thing.
Yeah, exactly. Great. You feel better now? I mean, does that make your day by you knocking me down? Do you feel better? Right. And they're like, oh, yeah, you got a good point. That's not true.
All right. So principle 5 is let the other person save face. Chapter 6 is called How to Spur People On to Success. And this is talking about positive reinforcement. He starts off with a story about dog training. And I was at a park once, and I was watching a policeman train his dog. And everything that dog did, he gave him a treat. Everything, just a little treat over and over and over again. And that dog was looking at that man every second he was with him.
Yeah.
For that next treat, to do the thing right and get the approval of a treat.
Yeah, this is a great chapter when it talks about, wanting to spur people on for success and to deal with some of the things that really hold us back. Salespeople sometimes we have a high need for approval. We want to be liked by our prospects and we want to get a treat from our prospects. So we're hanging on every word and we're wanting to please them so we can get a treat, when in reality, sometimes the prospect doesn't know everything that they need to know. And we might have to bring something up that might make them upset. And we might risk that treat by bringing something up that's important to them that they need to know about. And that's having that respect and that appreciation for that prospect when we work with them to be able to get a better outcome in the conversation and the exchange of information at the same time.
Yeah, but I do think that in working with other people, finding things to compliment them about, finding things that they've done well, pointing out every little thing that they've done and say, look, I really like that, can really spur them to stay on the straight and narrow, as it were, stay in that improvement process. If people never see that we're improving, they never see that we're trying, we can certainly become dejected and not work at it. So when you have somebody who's trying to change their behavior, make sure that you follow principle 6, praise the slightest improvement and praise every improvement. Be hearty in your approbation and lavish in your praise. And that's a great way to help people to grow.
I talked a little bit about flattery and how people want to have sincere recognition and appreciation, but not to the extent where it becomes flattery, because nobody likes flattery. I mean, somebody brings up flattery, I say, I had a car like that, because flattery will get you nowhere in the old saying. And I think it's also human nature that we seek vindication and validation. And we've heard of pain, gain. We've heard of fear and loss, and I think also is vindication and validation. People want to be vindicated for their past mistakes, and they want to be validated for their current behavior, and that's human nature. Yeah. And I think we need to really keep that in mind, and this chapter reinforces that.
Well, the sincerity is really important. So when we're looking for improvements, make sure they're real. I had a friend of mine that I used to play golf with, and I hit one in the woods. You go, great shot. I'm like, that is not a great shot, So when you tell somebody something is good when it's obviously not good, that's not really a good way of building that. Then they don't believe you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So our next book is Spin Selling by Neil Rackham, and that's going to start episode 582. So we have next week, we're going to finish up How to Win Friends. Then we have a guest, and then so about 3 weeks from now, we're going to start Spin Selling. So dust off your copy.
Yeah.
Buy a new one, but read along at home. I can't emphasize enough. I do not get everything out of these books if I don't read the whole chapter.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't even get it if I listen to it. I have to read it. I have to see it. There's times I have to go back over and reread a paragraph because I kind of spaced out for a moment. So I would really recommend, don't just rely on Scott and my insights. Get your own insights by buying Spin Selling and reading it with us.
And a lot of the times when we read a book, we're put in context of where we are in our life. And as our context changes and our environment changes, and the application of the content will be more valuable because it's something that's new and different than what we've done before. And I reread a book and I'm like, wow, I don't remember that. And that's so applicable today. It just really reinforces, because we do grow and change every single day.
That's a great point. Great point.
So our topic today is testing ChatGPT to find out how relevant it is on today's top 6 sales challenges. So let's see what they came up with. And this is a quote when I entered in the line, entered into the program, give me the top challenges for salespeople. And here was the response. As of my knowledge update in September 2021, several common challenges were being faced in the field of sales. Please note that the business landscape is dynamic, so these challenges might have evolved or new challenges might have emerged since then. It's important to note that these challenges can vary based on industry, company size, target market, and other factors. To address these challenges, companies may need to continuously adapt their sales strategies, invest in training and technology, and maintain a customer-centric approach. So here are some of the top sales challenges, and Bill and I picked the top 6 of the 15 provided. And the first one that I'll submit is...
Well, wait a minute, Scott, before you go on to that, that sounds like everything that ChatGPT said in that beginning was, I'm probably wrong in half of this because things have changed.
Exactly.
It's like, wait a minute, September 2021, is that the last article you could find? This sounds like how I used to write term papers in college. It was like, find one article, copy it, and say, that's mine. We'll see if they have a better approach than that.
And this is why I brought up our combined experience of 82 years. It's like, Bill and I have not lived the same week over and over again very often. It has happened. I don't deny that. It has happened. But there's a lot of years and a lot of lessons that Bill and I have learned. And I just want to compare it to this AI to see how relevant it is.
Well, it's good to know that nothing has changed in our world since September 21. That's going to affect salespeople.
Incredible.
Okay, go ahead with your start of yours.
The first one that I'll submit is effective use of technology. And here's what ChatGPT said. While technology can streamline processes and provide valuable insight, integrating and effectively using sales tools and CRM systems may be a challenge. No kidding. Salespeople do not like CRMs. They do not like entering information. They do not like looking at it before they make a follow-up call. Sometimes they go, just wing it. I know I got this one in the bag. I don't have to work very hard for it. And then you don't. And then it's like, oh no. Well, if I had a chance to do it over, what would I do different? But I think when it comes to technology, and this can either strengthen a relationship or it can really harm a relationship by not coming across as authentic. I mean, you think about some of the needs that customers want. I mean, can you call Facebook and help them, figure out why your profile isn't loading, or do your AdWords, or can you call somebody from Google, or, forget about it. It's not going to happen. We use technology as a customer avoidance system, and you can call some major telecom companies and they've got this customer avoidance system. They don't want to talk to you. But, this is technology. Well, it doesn't do the best.
Right.
Doesn't support the relationship with the salespeople. So I think about...
Is this technology to save us a couple of bucks, or is this technology to really connect with our clients more effectively?
Well, it seems like it's more used to increase profitability, to not work with retaining a sales team or a customer service team by paying them a reasonable fee and salary, and devaluing what you're offering. And companies, when they rely too much on technology and not the human factor, is they start to commoditize their own product or service. They're doing it to themselves. You can see it in the airlines. I mean, if you want to go on a budget airlines, good luck. You're rolling the dice, and it may not work out like you want it to. And well, you bought on price. So you didn't get the same service as you did with a major airline. But I think when it comes to the mass customization of technology, consider it, within the external, communications, but follow up and engage to identify interest with people. So we can do a drip campaign, but when we talk to them and we follow up with a personal touch and we think about who to call and when to call, that salesperson has to be trained on what to say and ask, and what not to say and what not to ask. And that's where the human factor comes in to influencing a consumer, a prospect, on making a decision. And that's how technology can be used.
Yeah, I think that it is a good tool. Using your CRM effectively can be important. I do believe in having inside salespeople that help the outside sales team do a better job of keeping up on the CRM material. But we need to integrate delivery with the CRM so we know when things are delivered, so that we can answer questions and deal with issues. So everything needs to feed into that CRM, every customer contact, not just the one with the salesperson. And I think, as you mentioned, the drip campaign, I think that as we're going through a sales process, there are times where prospects are not ready. They go into a holding area and they should be getting communication from marketing, but that I don't have to do as a salesperson. I think that's very valuable, but I do have to be ready to intervene when that person responds to that outgoing communication and re-engage with them. So it can be a great tool, but it is not the only tool that we have, and we can't turn over the human factor to technology.
Right. I don't know of a lot of customers that really rank the value proposition as to a great use of technology. Um, I'll set aside Amazon does a great job. When you order something, it makes it very, very easy. They've got a great system down, but don't let technology avoid that human interaction that salespeople have with customers.
Their system is great till it doesn't work and you have to call them, and then they don't want to talk to
you. Yeah, exactly.
So they're hoping it all. All right, my first one is meeting sales targets and quotas. And ChatGPT says sales targets are often demanding and achieving quotas can be stressful. Striking a balance between meeting these targets and maintaining customer relationships is a challenge. I don't find that to be true. The balance is that we need to stay engaged with our customers, and by doing that, we will meet our sales goals. So it's not a challenge between the two. It's a both and. So a couple things that are going on in business today. Prices are going up, certainly, and prices going up can help us hit our sales quotas. Mm-hmm. Because if there's a 10% increase in pricing, our regular customers are now just increased our sales by 10%. However, if our prices go up too much, our customers will say no mas, and they'll find another supplier. So I think we need to be careful of hitting our quota with increased prices. I think we're also moving into a recession. We may have to be careful, and there's going to be a slowdown in all industries. So you're going to have to become a better salesperson to get your share of less business. If there's less things going on out there, you need to learn how to ask better questions, have better conversations, intervene earlier. Don't wait for your customer to say, I'm leaving, for you to intervene. Mm-hmm. So you need to be out there all the time. So I think you'll meet your sales targets and quotas by being truly engaged with your customer, not hoping that things get better.
Right. It's just amazing the influence of the response of where ChatGPT is getting this. I mean, sales targets are often demanding, and achieving quotas can be stressful. No, they can be great when you achieve your quota. That's right. Where are they getting their information? This seems to be a little negative. Like, sales is not a very exciting career. No, it's a stressful career. No, it can be exciting and stressful at the same time. But I think you explained that well, Bill. I really have nothing more to add on that one.
All right, let's go to your second one.
Number 2 is sales and marketing alignment. Collaboration and communication between sales and marketing teams is critical for generating and converting leads. Misalignment between the teams can result in lost opportunities. Totally agree with that. But sales and marketing, it's a two-way street. We need to talk to each other. Sales needs to talk about what audience marketing is targeting, so that sales can also follow that qualified lead and target that universe that marketing has defined. There can be a lot of misconceptions in the marketplace. Then marketing can help sales sort of dissolve those misconceptions by showing social proof in an ad or a campaign or a study or something like that. Competition is also very relevant in the marketplace, and marketing can also support sales with changing the value proposition to focus on more of the company that you represent than looking at competing against other companies. Concentrate on what value proposition you offer, and then let the customer decide which one is better. And then I also think that there's a lot of competition between sales and marketing, between results and recognition. I think marketing loves to get awards. Oh, what a beautiful campaign you put together. Salespeople are only recognized for what was your number at the end of the month.
Right.
And both struggle to be recognized. And how they're being measured and collaborating together, I think, needs to be set from higher up in the organization, the CEO level, as to how these two people work together.
Well, the biggest challenges I've seen are when they're misaligned. And what happens is marketing goes out and markets to certain people and says, here's what our advantages are, here's what we're selling. And sales doesn't really understand what the marketing is. So they go in and start having a conversation with the lead that they get. And what they're trying to sell is not what the lead asked for in their response. And now they're talking at cross purposes to each other, because sales didn't understand what marketing was doing, and marketing didn't understand what sales talks to their customer about. And so now the customer is confused. And what does a confused customer do, Scott?
Nothing
at all. They say, we'll think about it. So
we'll go someplace else.
Quit confusing your customers and have good conversations with them, because you're aligned properly with what marketing is telling them.
Yeah.
All
What's
right.
your
My
next one?
second one is sales training and development. ChatGPT says keeping the sales team well trained and up to date with product knowledge and sales techniques is an ongoing challenge. They like to use the word challenge,
Yeah.
especially for rapidly evolving industries. I really think that when we talk to the authors of the sales jujitsu, they really open my eyes to how they do weekly training. And they are 100% focused on practice sessions. And I have started to talk to my clients and tell them we have to quit practicing on our customers and spend some time practicing on each other till we get good at something. So I think that we need, as sales teams, to get together every week, whether virtually or in person, and practice asking questions, practice our approach, practice our phone calls, practice different things so we don't waste our time on customers. And I think the second piece of that is you need to get a coach outside of your management team. Your boss is not a good coach because you're afraid of him or her.
So true.
So I started sales coaching, my sales coaching program with 3 new sales professionals. We're discovering a ton of new opportunities that they had never even considered. And that's what outside coaching can bring you: new ideas, new concepts, new ways of looking at things that your company internally just hasn't thought of.
So true. In my book, Taking Off into the Wind, I wrote a chapter on the Dead Sea thinking and the Sea of Galilee thinking. And I think most people can put it together. Nothing lives in the Dead Sea. There's a lot of companies that have Dead Sea thinking. Everything lives in the Sea of Galilee, which the Jordan River is flowing through with nutrition and nutrients and great ideas and fresh water. And that's what somebody from the outside can do, is bring in the fresh water and refresh the sales team. I always say to business owners, if you believe that there are more opportunities in the marketplace and you want to convert those opportunities into commitment, and you believe you've got the right people on the bus, and you believe if you train those people on the bus to be able to convert those opportunities, then sales training is the time is right to consider it. And a little bit of a commercial for Bill and I, and I'm glad that this one is being recognized by ChatGPT, but continuous sales training and development is mandatory for staying relevant in today's marketplace. And that's all I'm going to really add on that one.
That's great.
And I'll jump to number 3 for me is managing customer relationships. Building and maintaining strong relationships with customers is essential to repeat business and referrals. Balancing customer satisfaction with the pressure to meet sales goals can be challenging. This constant reinforcement of meeting sales goals can be challenging. And managing customer relationships is so important because you have to commit to following up. And sometimes if there's a bad experience, you become scared of a customer that bought from you because we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, and I don't want to talk to them until day 31, then they can't return it. That's not good thinking. But following up as soon as possible, asking for referrals from the people that bought from you, asking them to do recommendations and testimonials is powerful. And this increases your retention. If you have formed a relationship with a prospect where you have multiple transactions within that relationship, and if you're in that situation and you lose a customer, let me ask you, as a salesperson or a business leader, as sales manager, is when did you lose the customer? How do you know you lost the customer? If there's multiple transactions within a relationship and all of a sudden they stop buying from you, when are you going to notice that? How are you tracking that? Mm-hmm. And the closer relationship you have with your customers, the greater the retention is going to be.
I think it's really important to have the whole team involved in this customer relationship. Mm-hmm. How is delivery working, talking to sales? How is internal sales talking to external sales? I believe fully that you should have a robust internal sales team supporting your external sales people to stay in this customer relationship management process. Not only that, but you're training your future outside salespeople on product and customer service. But I really think that it's a whole team approach. And what happens is sales doesn't know what delivery is doing, and then the salesperson gets called because delivery is screwing up and there's no intermediary, and it just becomes a mess. So outside salespeople should not be spending a ton of their time on customer relations. There should be an internal salesperson that gets that and warns this external salesperson, we need to intervene here. We need to touch base. So keep a whole team involved if you want to keep your clients happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so true.
All right, my last one is time management. ChatGPT, it's going to say challenge in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Sales professionals often juggle multiple leads and tasks simultaneously. Managing time effectively to prioritize high potential leads while maintaining follow-ups can be a challenge.
Again.
Well, I got to say, sorry, ChatGPT, there's no such thing as time management. It's in reality, it's priority management.
Yeah.
How do you manage and choose what you're going to focus on every day? And that is how you manage. Time is a constant. Priorities are the things that change. I believe in the top 5. What are the 5 things you must do every day to be successful? Whether it's making 5 phone calls every day, contacting certain clients, whatever that is every day, you probably have 5 crucial tasks that if you don't do those things, you're going to get way behind and you're not going to ever be able to catch up. So that's what I would say. Don't think about time management. Think about prioritizing the tasks you have to do and getting the most important things done every day.
I could not have said it better. It's all about your priorities. It's all about how your performance is being measured. And it's all about making good time trades. Like you said, time is constant. You cannot manage it. It moves at the same pace, regardless of what you do. It moves at the same pace. So are you making good time trades when you're getting investments and minimizing the expenses? And always try to get a return on your time. And this is a powerful concept, but you have to understand it conceptually before you can implement it behaviorally. And there's lies the rub, is how do you get your head around it so that you can turn it into action, do the right action. And this also goes for, I need to drop a few pounds, but sometimes it's just tough for me to get up and go to the gym every morning. Why? It's in my head. If I change my belief system, my behavior will follow that. Sales is the same thing. How are you making good time trades? So I want to bring in some things that ChatGPT did not talk about that I think are relevant to today's marketplace, that salespeople are still struggling with, clogging up the pipeline with unqualified leads, cutting the price to win the business. They still have a high need for approval, wanting to be liked by their customers, and they have an unhealthy relationship with money. I think those are relevant sales challenges, but ChatGPT didn't recognize them in this query that we put in.
As we wrap up, we have a golden nugget today. This is from Mark Twain, and this is referring back to the How to Win Friends and Influence People book. I can live for 2 months on a good compliment.
Yeah, that's so true. Most people can.
And in every world, a good compliment, finding something to compliment people on, that's the greatest way in the world to make friends.
It really is. Well, there's a good book entitled that too.
Yep.
Everything that we talked about is at winningatselling.com. Please take a look at the show notes, share this with your social media networks, and thanks for listening.
That's right. Next week, our book club is wrapping up How to Win Friends and Influence People, Part 4, Chapters 7, 8, and 9, and that will wrap it up. Our topic is sales lessons from great competitors. So we're going to look at the sports world, see how that ties into business. Go out and get better, one skill at a time.
Joyful selling.